for a second while people find it.
I love the freeze frame.
Yeah, the freeze frame, exactly. You guys know Karitsa? She seems like
she's amazing.
She's incredible. We
seems
are very
it.
lucky to have her on the school board.
She seems it.
Yeah, we were cheering and stomping for her.
Yeah. She really brought it that day. Come on in, everybody. Get started here in just a second. Trying to share this on the Chattanooga Holler feed right now. We can. Anyway, welcome back to Tennessee Holler. I'm Holler founder Justin Canoe, or tnholler.com is where you can find us, at the TN Holler on Twitter and Facebook. We also have hollers all throughout the state. That's all thanks to your support, including one in Chattanooga at Nooga Holler we'll be talking about today. It's really thanks to your support. Small dollar monthly donations really go a long way and keep us going. And then I just want to send a big shout out to Elisa Parker, who is a realtor here in Middle Tennessee, and she supports us. And so we want to let you know that you can support us by supporting her, and we appreciate her. So today we're going to be talking about a battle going on really throughout the state, honestly, but that has especially reared its head in Chattanooga. It's about a fight to ban books. These, liberty-loving moms, quote unquote, don't so much love the liberty to have these books, not required to be read, but just to sit in our libraries as to be chosen to be read by our kids. And let's get started. Today we're going to be joined by Moms for Social Justice. So I want to say hi to you guys and thank you so much for joining us, Taylor and Mari.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Moms for Social Justice, not to be confused with Moms for Liberty. We would like to mention that we were here first.
Yes, Moms for Social Justice and Moms for Liberty, very different things. Maybe, opposing things, frankly, these days. Just to give people some context, I want you guys to see what we're talking about here, and then we're going to talk about it. So we're going to start off by playing the video that we posted of what happened with school board member RHONDA Thurman and Karitsa Jones. This was last week at the school board meeting. They were battling over book banning, and this is what happened.
I want you to get up and read some of the excerpts. I want you to
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Because I refuse to read it, ML. I'm talking about GD. These words come out of my grandchildren's mouth. I don't care what the context is. Somebody's in serious trouble. But it's very sad that these books are allowed in our libraries, and you took out Huck Finn, you took out Tom Sawyer, and To Kill a Mockingbird, a book that literally almost made me cry. I'm sorry, but as a Christian, I just cannot sit by and watch this.
I have always been a lover of books. But when I think about Romeo and Juliet, two people kill themselves because they're in love. In those books, you reference people that look like me with very bad words. Libraries give you choice. You can't censor when it's uncomfortable for you, because that's just life. Life is uncomfortable. We are not making this mandatory in curriculum. These are choice books. We cannot feel like everybody wants to do what we want to do. And nobody's saying that some of the language is okay, but when I was reading To Kill a Mockingbird and it seemed like they were singing the word nigga, I wasn't comfortable with that. And you're right, Rhonda. That is one of the classic pieces of literature of all times, and it does break your heart. But for me, I'm sure my heart was broken differently from why your heart was broken. Nothing is different. That is the reality for some of our kids. But somebody is making money off of CRT, which is critical race theory, that has nothing to do with K through 12 educational pedagogy, all because they want to instill fear. Representation matters. We can't just teach people what we want them to know. If you all sit back and look, Rhonda, in a few minutes, we might be reliving To Kill a Mockingbird. The way the world is going some days, I pray it doesn't, because I ain't going back. We are working with a melting pot here, and it don't look just one color. So we have to be careful when we begin to want to censor things, because then what are we going to start doing? Censoring math books? When is it going to stop? I don't agree with the language all the time in books. No, I don't. But you cannot start to censor stuff, because if we was going to censor, then I got a whole lot I want to censor. Ms. Hill.
All right. So that was the fire from Karitsa. It was awesome. You were both there, right? You were both
Yep,
there.
we were cheering for her.
Awesome.
We both
And
spoke at the
so
meeting as well.
people should know that that was a cut down of it. You know, that went on for a lot longer than that. Taylor, let's start with you. I saw you spoke. What were you thinking when Rhonda Thurman first started talking about this? Were you surprised that she was bringing up that she wanted to ban books, or is this par for the course for her?
Yeah, I mean, she has a greatest hits record of really doing awful things. So this is just one of the many. And she had just released an op-ed in the Chattanooga a few days before, specifically naming the books that she was taking issue with. For example, The Hate You Give, On the Come Up. It will not
Black
surprise you to
authors.
know that the majority of the books that she was targeting and that the Moms for Liberty are targeting are all authors of color written about the lived experiences of those communities. So they can try to say that it's not about race all they want. If you look at the books they're targeting, a very clear narrative bursts through. So no, we
Do you
were
think
not surprised at
she
all.
pretended that she was surprised to learn that they were Black authors?
Tell it to somebody else, Rhonda. We don't believe it. If you don't know who wrote The Hate You Give, you are living under a rock, which honestly she might be. I don't know.
Right. Mari, so one of the things that Rhonda said, Mari, was that Tom Sawyer, Huck Finn, and To Kill a Mockingbird are banned from libraries in Chattanooga. Is this true?
No, and she was fact-checked in real time at the school board meeting by board member Jenny Hill, who the Moms for Liberty do not care for. Yeah, so no, they're there. In fact, I believe they said that To Kill a Mockingbird is actually taught as part of the curriculum. So no, she was wrong.
Right.
So
and obviously it wasn't just her, right? This is a movement that we've seen. It started, it didn't start, but it's recently been invigorated by the anti-CRT furor, even though, as I said in our school board meeting here in Williamson County, CRT is not in our schools, and it never was. But they've latched on to this CRT thing that came from a think tank, a guy named Chris Rufo, and it has fanned the flames of animosity. And it's not just a little grassroots moms group, right? I mean, this is something that we're seeing at a national level. What is really at play here in your minds? Oh, Taylor, you're muted, I think.
Oh, well, I'll take it since she's got some technical difficulties.
Gotcha. Okay.
But basically, it's fear at play, and it looks like they're an organization that's going to try to get folks on the school board. And so, like Karitsa was saying, someone's making money from this organization because it's something different every month or so. And so to decry, we're not being racist. We're just protecting our children from profanity is a bunch of hooey, because the last month they were there saying you shouldn't say words like equity, inclusion. All of these are what they think fall under CRT. So, obviously they're misguided in what that even is. And we tried to explain that. We've spoken at the last several school board meetings. So it's really disheartening seeing this group grow. But as Taylor said earlier, we've been here longer, and we're out in our community trying to do good things.
Right. So let me ask you that. So I know, Taylor, I don't know if we have you back sound wise yet, but Lenara says the argument against CRT is a Trojan horse for something else. Absolutely true. I know, the argument that they would make is that they are like the silent majority, that most people agree with them. But it sounds like you guys have a number of people in your group. Tell us a little bit about your group and what's your sense of, are they in the majority or not?
Do you want to try, Taylor? I don't know if we can hear you. Oh,
we had you before. Taylor's muted now. All right, go ahead, Mari.
All right. Well, we can at least see her lovely face.
We can't. It's weird that we heard her before, right?
I know. I don't know
It
what's
was.
going
It
on.
was okay.
Well, if all of a sudden you burst out into song, we'll go with it.
That's fine. Yes.
Yeah,
So, Mari, do you
so
think they're in the majority? I know they think they are.
definitely not. Even folks that are quote unquote on their side, maybe against masks and stuff, I think still are distancing themselves a little bit. Even our school board members are, other than Rhonda, are getting a little bit tired of them coming and kind of commandeering the speaking section of the meetings, especially since they're usually speaking on things that are not on the agenda, and a lot of times are things that the school board can't even control.
Right. So, that's the thing. They don't seem to really they don't seem to care what they can and can't control. Like they never come in there worried about process. They just want what they want and they want it now. Right. I mean, and it's the
Right.
same thing with the mask stuff. Like it was like dealing with kids, frankly. They would yell and scream when anybody else would speak. If your child was behaving like they were behaving some of the time, you would punish the child. I mean, it was children, really.
Like the guy sticking his tongue out at us and like purposefully like trying to cough on us. Yeah.
Was he doing that
Yeah.
at the meeting?
He was, yeah. At a few meetings back when the masks were the big
When
debate.
the mask thing was going on.
Yeah,
right.
he was there with the Tennessee Neighbors for Liberty, which is,
Charlotte
more
says
liberty.
the school board fights are smoke screens to promote radical right-wing propaganda. Absolutely.
Exactly.
So how did it end with this meeting? Are you worried that they're going to be effective? Like what's going to happen?
Can we hear you, Taylor?
Am I back?
There you go.
Woohoo!
Oh,
You're back.
yay. Sorry, guys. Yeah, I don't know if you saw it, Justin, but there is a video being circulated amongst the Moms for Liberty and Tennessee Neighbors for Liberty. One of the women there confronted Caritza, got in her personal space, started verbally abusing her, made her feel uncomfortable, made her feel unsafe. And one of their other cohorts started filming the whole thing. And it turned into a very contentious interaction. I mean, Caritza held her own and it was amazing to see, but they are spreading this video far and wide with the narrative that she is not a good representative of our children, and she's the one who's unhinged.
I saw part of that video. I don't know if they intentionally only posted the end of it or if that's all they got on video. But I saw her arguing with the women one woman was like very upset, clearly, that Caritza, a Black woman, was able to, rant on the school board in the way she did, but had no problem with Rhonda doing it for some reason. And then also the woman who was filming the video, I noticed, used the term colored people as she was talking while she was holding the video. So I did see that video. I thought Caritza, was understandably upset. I didn't know what happened led up to that. But, if you're referring to Black people as colored people, like you've got a lot to learn and you might want to pipe down a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know that they've put in that work.
Right.
No. But this is just the nature of where we're at right now, that all of our school board meetings, all of our city commission, county commission meetings have turned into these really contentious battlefields where they feel the freedom to yell and scream.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys mentioned it, but a few meetings ago about the mask mandate, we had a man, you made him famous, who stuck his tongue out and got in our faces.
Oh yeah, I saw that guy. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, he's one of ours.
I posted that video. Well, here's the thing that worries me though, guys. Like, I'm a dad here. My daughter just started kindergarten. I have another one coming up through it. And, I can feel the energy from these people. They are going to focus on these school board races. There's a absolute nut job on the textbook commission. Lori, whatever her name is, her name's escaping me now, who I actually confronted at the Capitol one day. Are they winning? Like, how worried should we be that, they are going to put their fingerprint all over what our kids do and don't learn? And, over the course of the next, say, 5, 10, 15 years, they are going to whitewash history, and we are going to have kids coming up through our schools not really learning the truth.
They're already not learning the truth. So
Yeah.
they're going to
We
whitewash
are, I mean,
more.
yeah, I would say we are intensely worried because was it Ralph Reed who said he would much rather control the school boards of the nation than have the presidency? That's exactly what their game plan is. And
Right.
and certainly in our red states and our red communities, they have the ability to do that, to take these local offices like school board, like county commission, and that really shapes our everyday lives, but certainly our kids' education. And that is why there's this narrative that college is this liberal indoctrination hub. It's not that. It's just really that's the first opportunity that a lot of kids have to read about other perspectives
Or meet other
and
people. Right. Exactly.
yeah, have other exposure to other worldviews. It's
Right.
not that there's a liberal indoctrination happening in colleges. It's simply that your kids are getting the opportunity to learn maybe for the first
Right.
time.
Right. But they are really pushing, the privatization agenda, school vouchers. I mean, this
Yep.
BEP review that Governor Lee is leading is really just a backdoor voucher push. We're 46th in the nation in education funding. Southern schools, there was a whole SPLC report about Southern schools being underfunded. And now we've seen over the course of the pandemic, a significant chunk of kids have either started getting homeschooled, gone into charter schools. Public schools are, kind of losing this fight in a lot of ways. And, so I'm concerned that, this is a fight that we're not really fighting the way we need to. Like it is for, I mean, you are obviously, and there are a lot of people on the front lines, but I hope everybody is sufficiently alarmed, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
not sure that they are. I think it's a little bit like when Donald Trump was running for president. I think he was dismissed as being kind of a wackadoo, and it is scary. And I think that what we're doing as an organization and what we have been doing before this was even coming up, we were installing classroom libraries in some of our schools here in Hamilton County that have lower resources. And it's just interesting that we were working on getting more books into the hands of these kids that are new and inclusive. And then, now they're trying to take them out. So, I feel like that is something that other folks can do is potentially, be donating books or find out what's in their kids' libraries and
Right.
support their librarians and administration in that way. But then, yeah, unfortunately, I don't think they're going away anytime soon from the school board meetings. So I would show up. I mean, at this last meeting, we were surrounded by school and our city librarians. They were not able to speak. I think there's some rules regarding that, which I don't know how I feel about that.
Right. They've been shamed. They're afraid for their
Right.
jobs. They don't speak up.
They
They
are.
didn't speak up
Exactly.
about their own health. Their lives were at stake,
Right.
and they were all in our inbox. I mean, we tried to really be a voice for teachers across the state because they were all in our inbox saying, please don't say who I am, but I'm terrified for my life. And so we would post anonymous messages from teachers
Right.
across the country as they were dying. We got over 30 teachers or public school employees have died just this year alone. Governor Lee never mentions them. I mean, they are afraid, and they don't have really a union to support them. It's like a right to work at will state. They don't get paid what they should. And then the Republicans turn around and say, oh, well, we are spending what we need to on education, and we're just not. And we're losing teachers as a result. And it's hard not to think that's all part of the plan. You mentioned the
100%.
Tennessee Library Association. This was their reaction. They said on the censorship of books in libraries, they essentially called it unconstitutional. They said, we jointly express our strong beliefs in the freedom to read and unfettered access to information protected by our First Amendment. We oppose censorship within school libraries on the grounds that it's unconstitutional. So it is unconstitutional. They did speak up. They wouldn't come on. I actually asked them to come on.
They probably have to be careful.
Yeah, they probably do have to be careful about that. And just to reiterate, I guess, Taylor, these were books that were not required, right? These were books that were just in the library.
100%. And I said that in my speech the other night at the school board that it's it's ironic to us that they are attacking these books that are not compulsory reads. They're choices, and many of the people in our community that are targeting these books do not even have children in public school. And the ones
Right.
that do, their children
Yeah.
are not attending the schools that these books are an important part of representation and relevance.
Right.
That takes a whole lot of something. I don't know what it is.
Right.
But,
It's
you
a
know,
bunch
to
of white
say
people trying to ban Black
exactly
authors from Black
Yes.
schools. It's like,
from
what
Black
do you-
schools.
Exactly.
Yeah,
If you
right.
don't want your kid, if you don't want your kid to read those books, if you don't want them to have a wider point of view,
Fine.
that's your prerogative. But for
Right.
you to say, yeah, to the kids who are going to Howard
Mhm.
High School or Brainerd High School, they don't have the right to read books that represent their life experiences
Right.
is quite frankly reprehensible.
Right. Absolutely. And a lot of the thing, I mean, and what I've said, look, I mentioned before we came on the air that I've sort of developed a dialogue with the Williamson County Moms for Liberty chair, Robin Steeman. And, I obviously disagree with her about pretty much everything. But what I've said is like, there may be instances here or there where, maybe a book should be kept out of the curriculum, or, maybe something happened, word wise, like specifics about these things. And, but in general, to throw out like diversity, equity, and inclusion as a concept because, it makes them a little bit uncomfortable. It's awful. And in Williamson County, Franklin, we just dedicated a United States Colored Troops statue on the square. And the theme of the day was just that it really does history an injustice to not tell the whole truth about it, not tell the fuller stories. And that's really what kids need
Yep.
to know. And they need to understand the context of what we're seeing here, because so much of these problems were not that long ago, and many of them persist today.
100%. I think
Exactly.
it's also important to note that representation should not be conflated with an agenda or indoctrination. They
Right.
also attacked us for putting books that had protagonists that were, from the LGBTQ community or the transgender community.
Right.
So this notion that if your child reads a book that has a queer character as the protagonist is going
Right.
to turn them gay or whatever adjective you'd like to use is just absurd. And we strongly believe that every kid deserves to feel seen and heard and represented in their literature choices.
Absolutely.
That's a hill that we will die on.
Yeah, and as well you should. It's a good one. In our comments every week, we get this one dude, Carlos, who I always like to at least acknowledge because he doesn't agree with us about anything, and he always throws our Fox News talking points at us. But I at least like to acknowledge him because he does show up. So I appreciate him. And his comment just now was, maybe some books should be treated like some statues, send them to a museum and ban them from bookstores. I just wanted to acknowledge Carlos. Carlos, I completely disagree with you, but I do appreciate you showing up and listening every week. And like RHONDA says, we're all in this together. So what are you guys hoping for? What's the focus for Moms for Social Justice, and how can anybody who's watching in the Chattanooga area get involved?
Well, we're still slated to put in 6 libraries. We were funded by a grant. We've got handmade bookshelves, boxes and boxes of books ready to go. So COVID has made it difficult to actually get in the schools and install those libraries. But once that's happening, we'll be sure to let our community know. We'd love to have you volunteer. It's a really cool, fun experience. And we're hoping we don't have to continue to show up at these school board meetings,
Right.
because honestly, it's wasting everyone's time.
Yeah.
But we also aren't going to sit by and let them be the only voice that's heard.
Well, I'm asking you for a favor, because we do try to pay attention, but we do miss things. Like if things like that happen, let us know so we can go pull the video. And I encourage everybody to go to your school board meetings, speak up.
100%.
These videos, like the context of these videos, they get shared quite a bit because, this is where the battle is happening, and it is right now a battle for the heart and soul of so many different things. I wish it wasn't happening, on our kids' backs. I wish that wasn't the forum that was chosen for this, but we have to keep showing up and pushing back. And so I appreciate that you guys are doing it. Taylor, do you have any final thoughts here for us as we sign off
I
here?
just think if you're a mom that's watching from any other part of the state, we started Moms for Social Justice in Chattanooga in my living room with 4 of us, and we have amassed a community of now over 3,000 active members in our local area. And that's totally possible in your community as well. And we need parents, standing in the gap. There's a gap in activism, I think, and that's where parents are needed. 2020 has activated the right. We're seeing activism from those parents. So now we want to see the left moms, the left dads, the left aunties and uncles standing in the gap and showing.
I want to ask you each if you have anything to say to Rhonda Thurman. If Rhonda Thurman showed up at your door, what would you say to Rhonda? Let's start with you, Mari. You can take a second to think about it if you want, but what would you say to Rhonda if you could say
I already
something
know.
to Rhonda?
I would say before you speak to these books and the language that's in these books that has been fed to you by an organization, I think you should maybe read them.
Well said. Taylor, how about you?
Oh, that's so eloquent. Yeah.
You were going to curse
something
at
to the effect of, Rhonda, bless your fucking heart. Just shut your mouth.
That's good too. That's good too.
She's very offended by the F word, as she let us know the other night.
Yes, she is.
Yeah.
Right. And she made it all about the language, right? And kids absolutely have heard those words. And we need our kids to be exposed, not to those words necessarily, but to those experiences and to what people go through and the hate you give.
Kids use the F word.
Ruby Bridges.
Good moms use the F word too.
Yep.
Right. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on, for doing what you're doing. Stay in touch with us. Let us know if there's anything else we can help with or video that we should post. And, it's really important that everybody understand that this is not just like a show up at your school board once and then it's over. Like, this is an ongoing situation and everybody needs to be involved. So, appreciate that you guys are.
Thank you.
Thank you
Please
for
reach out
having
to
us
us if you want information on how you can get involved. Mari, can you quickly throw out our social handles?
Yeah, on Instagram, we're at MSJ Chat and Moms for Social Justice. And then on Facebook, we're MSJ Chat as well. And there are some chapters all over. You can look for those or just reach out to us directly to find you can hook up. And also you may want to start your own chapter.
Absolutely. And you're not on Twitter, I heard. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, technically we are. We just don't use that. We don't use
it.
that platform as much. But I believe we're Moms for SJ because.
Okay. I think the ones that you're on are probably more local anyway. Twitter tends to be a little more like national, so I think that makes sense. Thank you guys. Really appreciate it, and stay in touch. Okay.
Thank you, Justin.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So that's the Moms for Social Justice in Chattanooga. Rhonda Thurman is, if you've been following us for any amount of time, this is not the first Rhonda Thurman video we've posted. She was last seen telling kids with cancer that basically they're on their own in the pandemic. There's nothing really she could do for them. She is a piece of work. We have a lot of pieces of work in this state, but she is right up there with the worst of them. So glad that they do that. Really hope that you'll support what they're doing, get involved, and these school board meetings. I mean, I think you guys saw I went viral not too long ago for going to a school board meeting and just speaking some common sense. So common sense goes a long way at these things. And no matter where you are, I know a lot of you are in our rural counties, especially there. That's where they need to hear it, need to hear from you. So wherever you are, show up, make your voice heard, and stay in touch with us. And please keep following all the hollers throughout the state. We'll see you later.